Welcome to the Leader Games Design Chat, our monthly design chat that is on the first Tuesday, magically.
Matt, today only. We decided to do it today. We had a bit of scheduling conflict with my family, but this way you can watch it and still vote next week. So,
We don't want to stop anyone from voting.
yeah. So this is how tired or Benadrylled I am right now. When that popped up with the little Ahoy back foreground, I was like, for half a moment.
Where is it? You can pet him.
Everyone at home is doing better. Yeah, it was a long weekend. We'll just describe it that way.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. Cole, I failed you. I had another Lego centerpiece kit.
Oh no, you didn't make it.
I didn't. I mean, because of all the activity this weekend, I didn't get to assemble them. So, and it's winter themed. It'll have to be Christmas. But I was also gonna get the big Christmas tree.
Okay.
From Lego for December, but maybe we can just do both, or
Yeah,
you can be there January. So it's still cool.
Halloween only ends when you want it to end.
Well, yeah. So yeah, it's
We watched Night Before Christmas as our Halloween movie this year, which I think I've decided is definitively a Halloween movie.
yeah. I know. I agree.
It was fine. It was
But
good.
there's Christmas in it. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's good.
My wife and I went off the deep end and have been watching slasher flicks. We watched starting in the Dells because AMC was running their 40 hours of Halloween movies. But we watched both Friday the 13th and Poltergeist, and we saw the two modern Halloweens, and that's what we're supposed to be doing today. As we're going to see the third, we'll go to the theater and see the third modern Halloween. And Sunday night, we saw Barbarian. I think it was Sunday night. It may have been Saturday. It's Saturday. We canceled our plans. And then I wrote to her, and I was like, I think maybe no more slasher flicks until the next Halloween. So
Sure.
That'll be my last one for a while. Yeah, Poltergeist isn't a slasher. That's fair. That's fair. It was kind of cool because I was playing Final Girl while I was in the Dells at night after the kids went to bed. And I had happened to bring with me the kit for Hans, who is basically Jason or Michael Myers. So I was playing that after we watched Friday the 13th. And then I had brought the kit for Poltergeist with me, which is essentially Poltergeist, the movie, done in board game form. And so I played both of them. Yeah, oh yeah, and we watched Cabinet of Curiosity. Have you watched it? Cabinet of Curiosity?
That's the Del Toro.
Yeah. And he comes out and announces it like a gentleman scholar of film, much like Rod Serling or Albert Hitchcock did at the beginning of their anthology series. And it's just very charming that he does that. And the series, I think it's very good. I've seen some good criticism of it, but I think it's very good. So, but I like it. Barbarian was good. It got somehow got listed as comedy by some people because I think the third act intentionally steers into camp a little bit, and I don't think it was funny at all.
Yeah, the only reliable Halloween viewing that we do is the last few years we've done Over the Garden Wall with the kids, which they love.
Yeah.
I think it's great. And then we usually watch Arsenic and Old Lace, but it was funny, last night I was like, all right, Katie, it's Halloween night. We can watch Arsenic and Old Lace. And she's like, we're not going to finish it, and I don't know if I want to watch a Halloween movie the day after Halloween. Sure. And so, because we usually split movies during the week, and so we watched the Lubitsch movie Designed for Living, which is fabulous, like an old romantic comedy from the 30s. Really funny, very charming. It's a pre-code comedy, which is nerd speak for it's raunchier than you would guess from a movie from 1933.
Oh, sure.
But it was really fun.
Yeah, sometimes we watch that stuff and we go, oh, not that they're talking about? And I'm like, no, as I get older, I'm like, no, they were just coding what they're talking about better.
Yeah, I think that was like when I used to teach older movies at UT, students were always surprised by how fast they were and how strange they were. They just kind of thought they were like boring with obvious plots. And like, in fact, when you're generating 20 times the amount of movies each year that get generated in our current studio system, you have to be a little more inventive, and you can't there are no nostalgia plays,
right?
Or they're played differently. So that means that they just get to experiment much more widely.
You're building the genre as you go. Boy, what did we say? 80s from the 80s after And I was like, man, that was way slower than I expected it to be. I'll think of it.
Yeah.
Another Stephen King story. Anyway. All right. Well, what have you been playing?
Let's see. I've been playing. I've been working through the Essen games I picked up. So we played Findorf, which is the new Freedom Freeze game. And my review of Findorf is it was very boring, but in kind of like a pleasant way. Like it's just so built for the German family game audience. It's almost comical. Like when you build a building, you put it on this map of Findorf. And so if you build a historic building, it goes in the little slot. If you put a house, you can put it on any of the house slots. If the house slots are all full, you can just put it anywhere. The rule is put your house anywhere in Findorf. And your the geographic position of any piece placed on the map does not matter.
Sure.
But if it were, St. Paul, the game, it'd be a little charm. Like, oh yeah, there's like Tangletown, or like here I'm going to put my piece by St. Thomas, or like near the river. And I think the whole game is basically about how the peat market behaves. So it's entirely like if the thing that you like about Power Grid is the very careful calibration about like, the buy low, ride the market till it crashes, and then the game says, oh, actually, there's no more coal being produced. That's all Findorf's about.
Sure.
And it was fine. It was pleasant. I'll probably play it a couple more times. I don't think it's not really for me.
Sure.
It's a little bit like Free Ride, his train game. I read the rules to it and thought, this seems like a very pleasant, reasonable train game that I'm just not interested in.
Sure.
I think the better, and actually playing it, it's funny how even though it was kind of an unremarkable game, I'm so happy we played it because in design meetings all that day, it kept coming up, and we kept using it as examples of to do this. We could borrow that idea. So it has good ideas in it. Although it did just make me want to play Last Train to Wensleydale, which is a really good, underrated Martin Wallace like municipal game.
Sure.
And then let's see, I'm playing Divinaire and thinking about it, which we played on stream yesterday. And then in the video game world, I started Persona 5.
We talked about Persona 5 at lunch today.
Yeah, which I really like. It's really lovely. It does. I like JRPGs, but I think like a lot of JRPG players, I stopped playing them for like 20 years of my life. And I've only recently been going back, and most of the ones that I've been going back to play are ones that I've either already played or ones which are so consciously old school.
Right.
Like Dragon Quest XI looks a lot like all the other Dragon Quests.
Sure.
And that's because it's a salve. It's like saying, hey, this is a comfortable blanket you can kind of snuggle in. And Persona 5 is just much more of a modern game. I mean, even though it's a few years old at this point, I think it's fun to play a JRPG and to see some of the innovations that have been happening.
Can anyone get into it, or do you have to
I've
play
never
the first
played
Lord?
a Persona before, and I'm having a great time
There you
playing it.
go. Good.
Yeah, it's good. What about you, Patrick? What have you been playing?
Well, I played Final Girl during vacation. I played. Did we talk about Rangers last time? Rangers of the Shadow Deep?
Yep.
Okay.
You played a solo, beat some spiders?
Yeah, beat some spiders. Okay, well, I guess I'm...
Oh, sorry.
No, that was it. That's all I've done. I did that. Jackbox 9 came out, so I haven't played it yet, but we were gonna play it at the party, so I was excited about it. We've been playing some stuff in the studio. Not too much for board games. It's kind of bad. I need to get back and play some. Or I'm just not thinking about them right now. If I did play them. For video games, I picked up Cultic, which is a 3D Realms title and uses the build engine from the original Duke Nukem 3D and Blood, and
Sure.
And it's a love letter to Blood. Like it's whoever designed it was like, I really like Blood. I'm gonna make it. It has its own vibe. It does a good job, and it's got its own Oh, geez, sorry. Turn off your phone. In fact, it was someone trying to troll me with my volume. And so I just started playing that. I like it though because for the genre, it has this really great like you're constantly thirsty for ammo. Like the guy did you can't carry too much. You did a really good job of like sometimes it takes 4 or 5 shots to kill a guy and you have 20. You know? So it's like you really got to plan out your attacks and think things through. And then it has that, I don't know if it's intentional, but like the modern Doom, you get health pickups when you kill something that you're near. I mean, is really what they're saying. There's a mechanic for it. And so, I believe Cultic is the same way, that it's like you are going to get hit and you should be close so you can get some health pickups, which is pretty cool design. And it has the same build engine, like, oh, there's a grate over there, so why don't you go mess around with that for a little bit, see if you can find a secret passage and stuff like that. So I've been playing that, and then I found this mod for Stellaris, like driving back in Stellaris.
Oh, there you go.
I've been playing a little
He's back.
I've been playing a little
Back on the
Stellaris.
horse. We've
been designing a lot too, so that's where my board game time's been going.
Yeah, I, like my video game time has been pretty limited. I mean, it's just been busy lately. We're also played some Phantasmaphobia, which so it's the third year in a row that we've played it as like our Halloween game. This is the game about ghost seeking that was like moderately viral a couple years ago. And last year when we played it, they hadn't really changed it at all, and so it was kind of disappointing. Like, okay, this game got a ton of extra money and orders, and people got really into it, but you couldn't really see that reflected in the game. And this year they overhauled everything. So very pretty. It's a video game. Okay. It's still, I don't know if I describe it as like a good, it's not polished. It's very clearly made by a small team, but the clumsiness of the controls just makes it scarier. And so usually we will, everybody turns on their cameras, we'll turn on the lights in the room, and we'll have like we'll do a spooky simul stream of playing Phantasmaphobia every year.
That's pretty cool.
And then this weekend, I'm excited, my brother's coming to visit, and we're hopefully going to crack open the rest of the Essen game. So I'm going to hopefully play Federation, which I'm very excited about. I think of the Euros that I picked up, Federation is the one I'm most interested in.
Is it about Star Trek?
Kind of. The theme is you're like wanting to join a planetary federation.
Neat.
Go get victory point. The person with those victory points doesn't become king. They get to join the federation. But it has a cool mechanism where your workers are two-sided. You can spend them on either side to get like a little bonus. But one of the bonuses are these votes, and then at the end, like the worker placement is done on this grid, and where you place your workers is how you're voting on a proposal that will change the final game scoring. And so there's just like a nice little layer on top of the worker placement. Seems neat. Yeah, I'd be curious if it gets picked up. It's the only one that got deaf. Yeah, SP, I don't know if you're talking about Federation. If
no,
you
Phantasmagoria.
Oh, Phantasmagoria. Yeah.
For you. I had a game in my notes from long before I met you. It was right before Route Z entered that contest, and it was the other entry I was working on for the contest where everybody was a species, like a spacefaring species, and they were beset by, like, at the beginning of the game you generate all these problems, like your empire is massively in debt, there's other species that are attacking you, or and there's different flavors of them, like it's an internal threat versus it's a very external, faraway threat. And then you had to like work your way through the like diplomacy channel of bringing your federation closer together, and then resolving, manufacturing your way out of the problems. I liked it a lot. I just, like,
there's only,
so much bandwidth.
I think, I have a friend, he's a musician and he's worked on lots of really big projects. And we were talking about this, I don't know if I mentioned this on another design stream, but a few years ago, we were hanging out and having a drink together and chatting, and he was telling me that, like, as he's gotten older,
I know you're going with this.
The biggest thing that he realizes about like any kind of creative endeavor is he's just very reluctant to start projects because he knows how much work it's going to take to actually do it well.
Sure.
So you end up doing this thing where you're like, okay, well, I have 10 ideas, but like ideas are in this field especially are like the cheapest, easiest thing. And then it's like, do you want to spend 2 years making that thing? And so for every game that gets made, there were dozens and dozens of ideas that might have been good games, but that
just toss them aside.
I think I've got like 5 more in me, y'all.
I think I'm.
I think my general attitude is I treat every project that I've just finished as it could be my last. I work as hard as I can on it, and I treat it like it's just such a miracle, right? The fact that everything lines up so cleanly and that you're able to make something, you might never get that chance again. And so I always sort of think about that as like this miraculous moment. And so, there are, I won't name names, but there are some Kickstarter projects that I'm following right now that are really struggling. And it bums me out because I think like if they would have attacked the project earlier, they could have made something really remarkable. But they decided to think like, well, I'll just do this next time, and then we'll go from there. Okay.
Yeah.
We can talk about it.
Yeah, bring it in.
Whatever.
Bring it in a friend.
Okay, well now we're transitioning. This is the literal handoff to studio chat. And we'll talk about what I just got handed in just a second. Okay, so...
So you can't see on Steam what you've been playing. I was just going to pull it up because I know I've been playing more. I got into Arcade Paradise more. I got pretty close to the end.
Got deep. So, Studio Chat. Studio's going well. It's busy. We have a lot of projects going on at the same time.
It's a little, we do. We do have a lot of things going on. So we're looking at you've been looking at a couple of external things. I have external things I haven't brought to you, but I don't.
You should, because
now's the time.
Yeah, now's the because I'm telling you that the gate on 2023 is about to close.
And then I showed you a game this morning, and then we were talking to a licensee. Licensee or license?
We'll see how that agreement shakes out.
We'll see how the agreement shakes out. Yeah, and so we've been talking to that, and so it's been pretty exciting. All the energy that's bouncing around right now, and then you have been playtesting the heck out of Arcs.
Yep, we're working on Arcs a bunch. Yeah, so we're in an interesting spot. Like we have in terms of the number of releases this coming year, we're not gonna have a ton of stuff coming out because we're mostly trying to finish Arcs and get Arcs done. So that it's on time for the Kickstarter. It's looking good right now. And then in 2024, we'll have probably a bunch of things come out. And so this is the weird way. This is the thing I always want to try to communicate in these streams of when one of the biggest changes in your mind when you move into thinking about this from the publishing perspective is you have to live 2 years in the future. And so the things that are keeping us up at night are mostly things that are going to happen in 2023. Yeah. In 2024.
When someone asks me a question about Oath or Arcs even, I'm like,
yeah.
Honestly, people, beyond what Cole tells me, I don't think about Arcs much anymore. I play test. I'll sit down and play test with them. But
and so we're looking at, basically we're hoping to have 2 crowdfunding campaigns in 2023. We're not sure precisely when they're going to happen. We're not even sure which projects they're going to be, but we have a little stable of potential projects that we're working on. It's stuff that you would expect. Obviously, I've started making some preliminary, not preliminary. I've started making some movement on the Oath expansion. I worked on it a little bit yesterday. And we're just kind of thinking about how it's going to look and what job it's going to have. There's actually another project we're looking at that, depending on how that project is shaped, it will determine how the Oath expansion is shaped, which is kind of a funny situation to be in. And then Patrick, you've got a big project, and then we're working on Arcs, and we've got a bunch of stuff we can't talk about because it's way too
far in the future.
In the immediate, we have Ahoy almost here.
Yeah, so Ahoy is on a truck.
No longer on the water.
No longer on the water in America. In Europe, someone's going to correct me. No, I think in Europe it's arriving too.
Yeah, it's right. So basically, what we're trying to do is coordinate.
It's okay. I thought it was the other thing. So Ahoy apparently is stuck in German customs. I'm willing to say that.
All right.
I can hear Brooks shrieking somewhere else in the building.
Yeah.
But U.S. Ahoy is heading to the depot.
Yep. So we're in that. For those of you who pre-ordered it, what does that mean? It means that we're in the final weeks. It's really hard to know how soon you're going to be able to get your copy. We are hoping that they will be sent very, very soon. Because Ahoy's just, sometimes you get on the slow boat. It's really hard to know. Ahoy's taking a little bit longer to get here than normal. But we are really, really, really hoping that we can get it out to you as soon as possible. Operations is telling us to tell you that it's shipping late Q4, which could mean a lot of different things, but know that it's coming, and we're working as hard as we can to get there. We'd get out and push if we could, or if it would help. In the shorter term, though, we have another kind of surprise product, which we can announce that's done, that I think you can order now, maybe now.
It's on the website in the US.
The puzzle. We made this puzzle because it turns out many people at the studio like puzzles. And we've always loved working on working with Kyle on these covers, and the Oath cover is particularly spectacular. And so we turned it into a puzzle, just kind of a little holiday treat gift. It is on the store either now or soon.
It's on the store right now for the U.S. It's still in German customs.
Everything is in German customs.
Everything's in German customs right now.
John Company got stuck in German customs for like 3 weeks.
So if you're very fond of large sections of green and yellow, this is it.
Yeah.
This is a good.
It has. It's really interesting. I feel like we did this puzzle, and then I realized immediately, like we would set up in the office. So one of the funny things is you get a pre-production copy with a puzzle.
Yeah.
Guess what? You have to make the puzzle to test your cut.
the puzzle.
And a puzzle like this is, I don't know, like a 4-hour, 5-hour puzzle. And so we were all just like sitting in the office doing the puzzle. And then a few months later, we got the manufacturer's proof copy. And of course, we had to test that as well.
Yeah, we had to redo it. Yeah.
And so we just had to redo it. So I've now done this puzzle a couple of times. And it has a really fun difficulty ramp. Yeah. Like the, building the castles and the little scenes kind of in the foreground are pretty easy. And then as you get into some parts of the brickwork, there's some tricks to be managed. And then figuring out the middle is actually an interesting puzzle. There's like, the second time we did it, we realized the first time we had done it very badly.
That's cool.
Just in terms of like our process.
It's 1,000 pieces.
Yes. 1,000 pieces, and it does not have the title on it. So it gets quite hard towards the end. So this is a puzzle like Oath, a game for people who really like games. This is a puzzle for people who really like puzzles.
So someone said when we were talking about the 10 projects a year earlier that master distillers may only get 3 attempts to distill in their life. And it was funny that it got mentioned because I do talk about the Maker's Mark bet quite a bit because there was a time when they destroyed everything, and then they had 6. They didn't know what they're going to do for 6 years. They didn't know how it was going to turn out for 6 or 7 years.
For 6 years, they said it was
because you had to let it go that long. All right. Well, let's get into the nitty gritty on Arcs and Path. Shall we?
To chat about. So as folks who watch the stream know. Oh, actually, before we do that, I want to talk about travel and upcoming conventions.
Oh yeah, sure.
So I will be at San Diego Historicon. I can't remember the name of the venue that's hosting it. It's a smaller convention. It's one of my favorites though because it is just filled with really interesting, lovely folks from the historical gaming crowd. I'll be there talking about Leader Game stuff, talking about Whirly Geek stuff. It's going to be a really good time. And hopefully I'll see some of you there. And then Leader Games will be going to PAX Unplugged about a month from now. PAX Unplugged show dear to our hearts. I think everyone loves Unplugged.
I love Unplugged. In fact, I was telling them today the big banner in the lunchroom now is
from Unplugged.
First PAX U.
Yeah, I mean, the first PAX U was the that wasn't it the Root launch.
It was the Underworld. We were advertising. Oh,
no, it was Root. It was Root because I wasn't there. I was at BGGCon. I missed it.
Massive poster for it.
Yeah, PAX Unplugged is great. It is the better run Gen Con. I'll just say it.
It's the better run Gen Con.
It's the best. I mean, I think the PAXs, in my opinion, are so much better run than like any of the other shows.
Sure. Where I'll compliment them is whenever we had a safety issue, it's dealt with.
Yep, instantly.
Yeah, we had some harassment at I think at East. Not towards us, but towards one of our customers. Came through the guy. That was a band for life.
Yeah, and I also love the fact that Unplugged is a 3-day show.
Yep.
4-day shows are very fun as a player and less fun as an exhibitor.
Oh, maybe we should just not exhibit the first Thursday of every Gen Con.
Yeah, the first Thursday. We'll just have the empty booth. Didn't that happen this year? The people across from us didn't set up until...
Yeah, until Friday. Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, but Unplugged's great. We will be there. I think we're not sure what we're showing yet because it depends on logistics and a million things.
That wasn't this year. This year the booth moved during the middle of the show.
Oh, that's
and they
right.
had a much better sales once they moved. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
The Gen Con empty booth was because they moved.
Yep.
But at Unplugged, we'll be there. Kyle will be there, which I'm very excited about. In fact, it's one of the biggest reasons I was like, yes, absolutely, I want to be on the Unplugged teams because those are my times to hang out with Kyle. And yeah, we're just excited to be in Philly. And then anything else about PAX Unplugged?
No. They clear out the hall. That was the other thing I was gonna say about why I like PAX better.
Yeah,
Is at night. I love you all. I don't mind talking to you, but sometimes people staying around the booth after closing times, like, yeah, I need to eat.
When I was at Essen, I was surprised at how they don't clear out the hall.
Mm-hmm.
It is like the most casual end. It ends at 7,
Mm-hmm.
but like your people are still buying stuff, walking around, you're hanging. Even like until 8, you can like be wandering around the hall, and it makes for a long day. Okay, so let's talk about active projects.
I like the raccoon coming just a little into frame. He's like prowling. Yeah.
I wanted to display the Oath puzzle.
I get it.
It's very pretty.
It's very pretty.
And this is like another project. This is like, just thinking about production. When did we work on this? Like a year ago?
Yeah.
But it's here now.
It's here now. The first one was funny because it got it had its like full mark. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
So there was a bunch of pieces that were just white.
Yeah, we like built the puzzle and then it was clear they hadn't like scaled it properly, and so there's this big white band around one half of the puzzle.
It was cute. So.
All right. So the big project. So my big project, ARX. Where am I at on it? The single session game is going great. Very happy with it. We have, since the release, we have done some small adjustments. I'll give a lot of credit to Josh here. I basically told Josh, like, once we got that kit done, I said, hey, you can keep an eye on the testing. If changes need made, you have my blessing to do some little experiments. Rope me in. But I don't need to play every iteration of that before you push it out to testers. So last week, I think it was last week, he pushed out some changes to testers that went over pretty well. I haven't even had a chance to play them yet. I'm going to play them today, I think probably after the stream, as long as we don't talk too much. And I've just been very happy with how it feels, the way it's proportionate. Although it is funny, I was listening to some podcasts talk about ARX, and there was a group of people who like missed it when it was kind of a simpler game. And it was a very good reminder that you just can't please everyone, right? And that different people have really different expectations about what they want from something. But I personally, just speaking from myself as a player, I really like where the single session game is sitting. I think it's like well in that like 90-95% done, like very clean. We've also had some big, I think, kind of breakthroughs when it comes to the graphic design of the game and how we want everything to like look and click together visually. And so I know that Kyle is working on card frames and some card backgrounds, which I'm really excited about, as well as some more map assets.
Possibly right now.
I hope right now.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's ARX is going really well. The campaign has been really interesting. So the campaign basically is in this spot where before we stopped working on it a few months ago, we didn't really stop working on it, but before we focused on the other thing, we had about half of the content roughed out, and that half of the content was a pretty robust vertical slice. So it like did everything that I want the campaign to do, and then additional content would be working within those parameters. And so what I've been doing is sort of like not retrofitting, but adapting that content to the new ARX engine. And I would say 70% of it has gone seamlessly and has been very easy. And that 30% that's not gone well has actually been great, because what's happened is I've worked on this and I'm like, wow, I have a really hard time adapting this power to the new version of ARX. And then the lesson is usually, hey, that power you want to adapt, it sucks, it's bad.
Sure.
Like, so there were certain objectives that I had a really hard time porting to new ARX. I'm like, actually, these objectives are bad. And so I've been like rewriting about 30% of the campaign content to just make it more interesting. Now that's the kind of stuff that's going to be happening in dev generally. Today, I have spent my time working on the event system mostly, which is, we like can't quite test. So the campaign's been interesting because over the past 3 months, I've been working on the campaign kind of lightly, but I haven't been able to really test it because there are just a few essential elements that weren't in a testable position. And what I'm doing now is saying like, okay, I have enough content that we can take this back into testing. I just have to go through and like bolt on the systems that we need. So for example, I still have to rewrite the interface, which is like when the power gets spent and how the upkeeps work, and then I need to build a new event system. Because previously in the campaign, the market flow, these sentences don't make any sense unless you've played ARCs, but previously in the campaign, the market had the event triggers in it. And what I found was that it pushed the events to the end of the hand, which meant there were really only like 3 event times that would happen over the game. So that wasn't good. And then I was like, well, when we switch to the new secure system, where players can advance the market over the course of the hand by using the secure action, that meant that the events could happen during the hand. But there are some games when there's a lot of market velocity, and there are others where there isn't. And so something as important as the events can't be put on that kind of uncertainty. And so I was left with this weird problem, which is I can't have an event happen every action. I can't have, like, every round around the table, that's 6 actions per round, 18 to 24 to 32 actions per game, depending on the game length. That's too many windows for events.
Right.
And so I needed something in between it. So right now, I'm doing a kind of like, I'm kind of compromising, and I'm having 2 event triggers in the game. One of them is a trigger in the interface, so in between the hands. And then the other trigger is when players seize the initiative, which generally happens between 1 and 3 times per hand.
Sure.
And so that's like enough play that I think it'll be a good event trigger. And then I have a very simple dice pool event system where, basically when you seize the initiative, or at the end of the hand, if you have the initiative, you roll a small pool of dice. Depending on what you roll, there's a little escalating event system. And the campaign game, of course, can change what those events do, what kind of dice get put in the pool, things like that. But it's pretty straightforward. I just need to finish mapping it out.
Sure. Do you need the closer to come in and design some content for you?
Yeah, eventually.
I'm kidding. I'm the starter if I'm anything, not the closer. That sounds like a great timing window. So congratulations.
It took some work.
Now, are you concerned that people will start firing the timing, like firing CC initiative more often or less often?
Maybe. And there might need to be some kind of like battery or like hydraulic system that, like, if you're firing the event system too much, it's like not. It's firing weaker. It's tricky because you just don't want it to be that fiddly.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. We're gonna figure it out. I mean, I haven't tested this particular thing. I really wanted to get a campaign game on the table today or tomorrow, but it's just so much work to get that thing back up.
It'll be 3 o'clock when you're out of this.
And I need to put a round into short arcs before I get back to the campaign.
Sure.
And we're in a funny spot because I was like looking at the big to-do list, and we have enough external projects that need a deeper review that I was like, okay, I have to like just work really hard for a couple weeks to clear my desk so that I can go back to fully working on art. So that's just how it goes.
One of them, I was like, oh, he's gonna give input and then get back to work. So that was interesting. This is an Oath Jigsaw puzzle.
It isn't. Yep. And then there's a really good question from SP Shaman, which you can talk about. Can you scroll up? Thank you.
A good question from SP Shaman.
I know. How do you balance working with your team and testers and building their feedback and keeping your vision of the game tight and intact? It's a super good question.
I just do whatever Cole tells me to do.
Who designs our game anyway? It's the weirdest thing. I mean, this is such a communal. I mean, it's like film. It's so communal.
Yeah.
I feel like when I'm working with testers, like I have a different group of testers that I work with personally than works with the Leader Games group. And like the Leader Games group, I give Josh a lot of credit for helping like get that group together and help do the community management around that group. But they have a different character from the people who work on the historical games, or even every project that we work on has like a different community around it. I mean, I think about with Vast, like that work in progress thread and the community around that, which, I mean, those communities have a huge, huge, huge impact. And so, I mean, I think that the way I tend to think about it is when I try to sort of I try to pull as much ego as I can out of the project and just say like, okay, the goal here is to make the most compelling thing possible. And it doesn't really matter whose idea it is that advances that ball forward. And if there's a world where, that's the wrong way to state it. What I try to think about when I'm working on the game is being a good executive officer of the project, which means it's your job to run it it's like running a meeting. You want to make sure that everyone gets to say their piece, but then also you need to pick the voices that are going to set the agenda for the next meeting. And so, I was talking to somebody once, a contributor who said well, they did a bunch of work on a game and they wanted a design credit. And I said, yeah, you did a bunch of work on a game, but there was someone else who was deciding when to include your suggestions and when not to include your suggestions. And that to me is the essential job of the person who's getting the design credit. Mm-hmm. It's their job to pick and do the arranging. Mm-hmm. And there are times in which when we're working on a project, we have to step back a little bit, which is where we end up sharing design credit. I'll say, we've worked on projects where, Nick has had such a good idea. And I've said you know what, Nick, actually, not only is that a good idea, you are now taking ownership over the governing vision of the game. And we want to make sure that is recognized with a design credit rather than a development credit, which is fundamentally working within established parameters. Mm-hmm. I think it's hard. I mean, one other last thing I'll say, and then I'll let Patrick respond, is that sometimes there are too many voices in the room. I actually think that happened to ARCS a little bit, where when I was working on ARCS, I was so worried about a particular kind of player. This is very early on, that I was really trying to make something that would be good for the people who struggled with Oath. And so I really wanted the game to be just very open and a little bit lighter initially, that I kind of lost myself. I think I was paying attention to some voices in the discussion, and I wasn't really thinking about my own sense of what I wanted the game to be. And so I had to kind of pull it back and say actually everyone stop playing it. I just want to spend some time with this thing.
Do you remember that?
Yep, and that's happened with every project. That happened with John Company. I mean, John Company is really interesting because there were a group of testers I worked with very early on, before we started testing on the Discord, who didn't like it, and I had to just say actually, all you testers, I'm kicking you off. I just stopped. I just kicked them off because they wanted something that was not something I was going to make. That happened with Oath too. There were a group of testers in the early rounds of Oath who really wanted it to be a light PAX game, and I had to kick them out. I mean, I didn't kick them out. I just stopped listening to them, and sure. I kind of told them nope, we're going in a different direction. Sure. And that to me is one of the biggest tools you have when you're in the director's chair. And then the other one is you have the ability to shut things down and to stop, mm-hmm. which no one who is within a creative project will ever do. Mm-hmm. I feel that's been one of the biggest lessons from the last few years. Is if you have a subordinate on a project, if they're a good subordinate, they will never say we have to stop, because they want. Sure. They want to march with you anywhere. Mm-hmm. And so it's the person at the top who has to say hey, we're taking a break.
Right. We're going to focus. So, gosh, I think the skill I'm learning right now is where the feedback is valuable and where it's not. So my first comment is I do think it's funny when you or I clearly know what happened. Mm-hmm. And I'm I don't need feedback. I know what yeah. We're just testing the syntax right now, and it's okay that we don't need to talk about it. We're going to go back and fix the obvious problem right now. So, but it's just kind of a funny attitude of yeah, all right, thanks for testing. You were just here to watch it crash with me.
The smallest thing I'll add, which is sometimes you sit down for a session, and at the end of it you say I actually don't really want to talk about it. Yeah. And I'm not saying it didn't go bad or good or anything. It's just I see what I saw, and we don't need to have the 2-hour conversation.
We don't need the conversation, because my problem is I tend to design a little bit more impulsively or intuitively, we'll say, and a little bit more focused on my emotion or the artistic state of the project instead of like how you are. How do you win the game? What does that suggest about the team? Blah blah blah. Yeah, and so the danger of that, of course, then is I listen to feedback very readily and can change a game very quickly. Now, I think our session this morning is productive.
Sure.
I think there was, you know, because I came to you and said, I just need to play it with someone that can help me define some of the like edges or the problems, and then figure out where to go from there. And so that was valuable. But at the same time, if I had opened that up to like say 10 playtesters, I'd be very confused and lost right now, and probably not wanting to work on the project anymore. Yeah. So, so that's So it's definitely a skill to balance the two, and I don't think it's wrong to I'm exploring more and more. I don't think it's wrong for me to say that isn't what I want in this game.
Yeah.
And to pull back, and you know, of course I said. I wanted you to be confused, but then that's not the right. That's the wrong impulse.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, we can all be wrong.
Yeah,
you know, it's one of those things where you're like, yeah, actually. So Josh talks about sometimes that the development merry-go-round,
right?
Which is a funny thing that happens where you iterate and iterate and iterate, and you like weirdly come back to something you already had. And what usually that means is your previous impulse was right, but you misunderstood something about your previous impulse.
Right.
And so there was something else that broke, and that in that process it kind of comes back around.
But something else may have changed on the way.
Yeah, it's like,
so you got what you want now.
I think that actually, so it's interesting, you and I feel like we design as differently as two people can design.
Yeah.
We really, for making similar kinds of games, like very thematically driven, grounded games, we just have very different approaches. But one thing that we share is you and I both change our games a lot. And now that I've had a chance to work with more designers and see other projects, I'm always surprised at how little people change their designs.
Yeah. We have kind of a agile without.
Yeah, we just like, we'll scrap half
style. Yeah. Now, we can't be agile because agile gets to launch, you know, Arc's already be published. You'd just be updating it right now.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't get that benefit. But that's all right. Yeah. So.
Just checking this. Roughly what percentage of feedback would you say? There's no way to. There's no way to do that.
I'm not going to answer that.
Well, I mean, it's impossible because you listen to some feedback, you build an iteration, and then it doesn't work or it does work, and then you build on top of it. So at like any layer, maybe I listen to like tons of feedback, or maybe I listen to none. I mean, I'll give you actually an example of Arcs. Arcs, I told the testers I wanted to change the victory system. And we have a channel in all of my testing discords. We always have a channel called the Department of Wild Ideas, which is a safety valve for people who really feel like they want to say something wild. I want to give them space to do it, but not to clog up the design channel and the general discussion channel and the session.
With a bunch of circular discussion.
I want us to like kind of stay on topic. So we have this Department of Wild Ideas where kind of anyone can say whatever they want. And generally, I mute this channel. But sometimes if I'm stuck, I'll scroll through it and see what I can find.
I like going to yours and meeting them just because they're funny.
Yeah, and also everyone in those testing discords, they love to write, which is great because, and I always actually encourage people when they're doing playtests after the game, don't just sit in the Discord chat and chat because there's no record of it. Like, get out of that Discord room and start writing, because also the process of writing will help you articulate and understand the problem. But I was looking back, and my goodness, they had wild and interesting suggestions for the victory system that were nothing like what we ended up doing. So in that instance, I listened to like 0% of feedback. But in other instances, like when Josh gave his suggestion about how like the movement rules are going to change a little bit and the way the ships pin each other, I was like, that's a great idea. Let's go ahead and do that. So at that point, listening to Josh, 100%.
Sure.
So it's hard to know.
So for Path, oh, good. SP's going to write me. So SP's actually played what we tested this morning.
Oh, cool.
And then he's actually played, I believe you played it. I'm pretty sure you have. And then he's played Path, and you've played Council of Blood, like some version of Council, which of course is, you know, far off, but I still work on it when I can. So Path, we eliminated the paths.
Yep, Path is pathless.
Path is path. Well, you create the paths now.
Yeah.
And so now the board is just hexes like Catan, I suppose. It just, you know, it's either forest or plain or. I keep saying mountains, they're ruins originally, because if you remember back when we first talked about this project, the idea would be that depending on how the game ended, like if there's too many if there's too many farmers, the forests are gone next game. If there's too much fighting, the ruins are back, and so on. So it'd be kind of a cyclical map, but that's long gone, and we're not going to use it anyway. So the paths are gone. The biggest change, the two biggest changes then have been, so for those who haven't played Path, which is most of you, you get 3 actions on your turn, and you can do things from a menu of actions. It's a pretty simple menu. It's basically just move and interact with the space you're on, or interact with somebody in the space you're on, and or rest. And so there's 3 actions, and then at the end of each turn, you now draw an influence card, which I think we talked about last time. Mm-hmm. You draw an influence card, and the influence card is, like, it'll say cats. And so if you get 3 cat cards, you can turn them in and take 6 cat actions. Mm-hmm. And the cat actions spend a little bit differently. So there are some 2 and 3 action spends within the cat menu of things to do.
But you're building these, in wargaming they get called schizophrenic positions, which is not really a correct way of talking about it. Yeah. But you're playing the character, and then at the end of your turn, like the cleanup step allows you to like operate on the strategic layer.
Yeah.
So players are kind of inhabiting both positions, which gives the world like this huge vibrancy.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it's and so we changed. So at the end of the game, you used to score. So like, let's say if the cats won, if they were the bigger faction at the end of the game, which is likely to happen because they have the most resources to become the biggest faction, then the points you have with the cats would triple. Mm-hmm. And we've tried it so that the amount of points you get during the game, if are double while that faction is ahead at that moment.
Yep.
And we've been playing that way. It's led to some weird abrupt short games, so we need to figure that out. But that's been really fruitful. And then the other thing we just changed is you used to have this little thing in front of you called the path, and it was a list of things you had to do during the game. You could do during the game just to score kind of a personal cachet of points. And then later Hirelings was based on it. And we had a lot of like confusion about it because it was like, here's your quest. And then it's like just a linear path of things to do. And it was very fun. And then I was like, well, then here is the quest that does a little bit extra for you. Or like here, but they're based on the missions in the game. So it was either very loose, completely generated by what's happening in the game, or it was this very specific path you were getting, which was great. It was telling a good narrative, but it wasn't very fun. And so then we recently changed at Cole's suggestion, and I really like it, is
open.
I like that. I thought about Hive as an alternate title of the game we played this morning.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. But Hive is, of course, already
sure. Yeah, don't want to make a game called Hive.
And so now the path is, and it's interesting. It's good because I like themes of failure in literature, like how you deal with failure. And so like when you said it, I was like, cool. And so basically now the path is a deck of cards, and every time you fail at a specific activity, like let's say you fail to make a delivery mission, so like you don't successfully do a delivery mission, you go through the deck until you find one that is linked to delivery, and you pull that card out and it goes into your hand. And then that becomes a new story beat for you based on what happened because you failed the delivery. And so every suit, there's 5 suits in that deck. Every suit has just a base. I now hate this faction.
Sure.
I'm now their enemy. I get points for attacking them. Actually, I haven't set up the rules for what happened with enemies, but that's fine.
So
or there's like, or you found a farm, or you found a new path, or you found a new friend. There's a card just called new friend, and that's been working a lot better. It's kind of funny because when you said when you were talking about triggering the event system intentionally, last time Ted and I were playing it, I realized that we were trying to fail intentionally so that we could see this. So it was okay because it was to see the system. But I was like,
yeah.
Are you gonna fail? Are you gonna try and fail to see the just to see the fun story?
It's a good lever, and I think that like what I really like about it is it and I haven't played this newest implementation
Right.
yet, but you talked about how failure is a really fertile theme for you. I think it's a fertile theme for just how stories work, right?
Right, yeah.
My wife is rereading Name of the Wind, which is a book she reads every fall. It's like a fall read. And we were talking about it last night, and the entire engine of that plot line is failure. It's like one constant disappointment, failure, something that happened that wasn't supposed to happen, and then it always advances the plot line and then creates interesting baggage for the next step. So I think it's great.
We'll have to work on that. And, you know, my favorite media is probably the Venture Brothers, which is the theme is Dr. Venture has failed to become his father's footsteps. You know, that's the entire overarching story, and so I like that.
I'm in the Jim. I'm in the camp, and I think my wife agrees that Name of the Wind is like twice as good as Wise Man's Fear. I like Wise Man's Fear too, but I think Name of the Wind is spectacular. I don't know who's going to sprint down from staff to tell me I'm wrong.
I'm wrong right now. So I'm going. So I keep saying I'm going to write some design notes for Path. I should do that.
Sure.
Soon. So people have I have a place to send people to.
We could make landing pages.
But this is what we're working on.
Yeah.
And then, how soon should I open up testing?
I think you can wait a little bit.
It's like longer?
I feel like the design. So okay, there's like these two tests I always give, which is like one of them is how much is the design changing? Are you in that spot where only 20% is changing between each playtest? Which I actually think you are, but I don't think the game is passing the next test, which is like, is it feature complete? And I think you're close.
Right.
So once it gets feature complete, we'll see if tests start changing it a little less.
Like we need to know what enemy does.
Yeah, we need to know. Yeah, exactly.
I think that's fine.
Yeah, because I'm in a spot so I'll use the ARX campaign as the example. I haven't gotten it out to the testing group yet because even though I have a lot of content for it, it's not feature complete, and I gotta just make sure that all the features are working. And what I'm discovering is I thought I was going to be able to get back to testing this week. I think it might just take a couple more weeks to get going. Sure. It's going, but
well, I don't want that work on TTS I did while I was homesick to be in vain.
Sure, well,
that's fine. It'll give me a base.
Play with Kyle.
It'll give me a base point of it. Play with Kyle. Play with SB. And then we found those 3 questions on the board, and I can't remember any of the questions where we asked a few months ago about Path. And it was, is this going to connect with the audience? Is this, is this going to rise to the occasion of this rule set? And I think
it's well on the way. And I'll tell you, I watched, or I listened to, I should say, on Fast Forward, the Dice Tower review of Trudvang, and which is very beautiful, but seems like kind of a middle of the road open world game. Might be a good listen because it. Tom basically sort of passed on and said, there's a lot of open world games.
Right.
This is not any more special. And implied in that statement was most open world games aren't that good.
Sure.
I'd be curious to watch a review from Tom about an open world game that he was actually passionate about. Because I got the sense that he is done with the genre.
Sure.
But part of the problem was that it just felt very flat, and Path feels very dynamic right now. So I'll be interested to see.
Well, we got 5 minutes. We can say a little bit extra.
Yeah. Any questions?
Let's answer questions. I'm sorry we talked about our design for the whole design frame.
That's all right.
Playing games with Patrick is always good company. My wife just told me she wrote 4 words for NaNoWriMo. And she's gonna
4 words.
4 words, yes. Now she's browsing the internet.
Oh yeah,
it's good. It's good.
Do you have plans for Oath expansion addressing? That's a good question. So this is from Diva Derved. I don't know. Do you have plans for the Oath expansion that address any new insights post-year since the game's release? Yes. I mean, basically everything about the Oath expansion addresses things that have happened since its release. Because when we finished that game, I had no idea what could possibly be added to it. But now that it's been out and I've seen players play, and I'll just underline this, I am surprised by the size of the player base for Oath. and how active it's been. So like, you know, in today's release climate, a lot of games get played and then they get kind of pushed off, or they become kind of like seasonal games in the sense that like, yeah, every summer we go to the lake house and we like take our copy of Oath or something. And Oath has shown a steadiness in player base where there are some groups who are treating it kind of like they would treat an RPG. And so that is giving me a lot of ideas and a lot of like soft data. And I think that there are elements of the game that I want to build out that respond to the parts that folks find the most exciting, which is for folks here in this chat, the wilder parts of the design. Like I think that this is an expansion that will make the game weirder. Like we're not going to include like a toy catapult for launching meeples, but maybe.
Maybe we won't.
Maybe.
Someone in chat's gonna have to remind me what the name of the drinking game they play on New Girl is. But I when you said they take their copy of Oath out to the cabin every year, I think like, what if they use the tribunal to slowly turn Oath into a drinking game?
Yeah, exactly.
at the cabin.
The tribunal, they rule not to pay attention to certain rules. Someone asked about in-person playtesting. We're close. The basement looks great.
Yeah.
Some of our staff really beefed up the space. It looks really nice. I thought we might be able to start it as soon as November. I think it's probably going to be at least a few more weeks, mostly because of travel. Like I'm gone some of next week, and then we have the run up to PAX Unplugged. Thanksgiving is going to happen at some point.
And the kids have been sick forever. What sort of games have y'all been enjoying these? We talked about the top.
Yeah. Go to the top of the stream. You'll find lots of that stuff. I want, to the last question about Oath, I want many more tools for players to mess with their position. I think if I have one problem with Oath as a design is that I gave the winner too much control over the game state. I wish I would have spread that control out among the players.
But history is written by the winners.
I know. I should know. But is it? Like, I'm starting to feel like it might not be.
All right. A True American is the name of the drinking game, so it's going to be True.
I don't know. Whatever they call Oathland.
True. Well, we'll just call it True. Oh my God, what's the name? Mineral and Oath called?
Mar, that's a very kind thing to say because I'm a huge fan of Blood on the Clock Tower, and I think that Blood, and I've told Patrick many times, is like it's a fundamentally it's like a sea change in how I think about social deduction games, and I think Oath. I hope Oath is maybe a start of that too, but we'll see.
It just makes me sad you have to have a game master because I want everybody to play.
Yeah, it's true. The game master is fun.
They're having fun. That's true.
I always usually if I'm playing with my brother, he will want to play the game master, and then eventually I was playing with him recently and said like, no, I'm gonna play the game master in this game, and I had such a good time that I told him after, I was like, oh, I see why you always take this role because this is really a fun role to play.
Little brother energy.
Yeah. Okay.
So True Chancellor or True Empire is going to be the Oath
there you go.
game.
True Chancellor. All right. Well, let's maybe call it there.
That sounds good. I'm going to go play a game of Path.
Lovely talking to you all. Our next stream will be probably either right before or right after we leave for PAX Unplugged. So it might be like a mid-December stream. That would be our Christmas stream. You've promised one Christmas tree Lego.
Well, I better order it then.
And I'll bring some Santa hats in or something.
So we have the Christmas house Lego set, and then there was two others. There's like the gingerbread factory and the like Santa's house or something like that. The elf house. So we have those unassembled, and I'm like, do I buy more Christmas Legos?
Sure.
So
an elf house will do. Just a reminder that we have Oath puzzles for sale right now on our web store. It's a great puzzle, a great gift for the holidays, and we have Ahoy coming very, very soon. It is not on the water anymore, and that's very exciting. Yes. So I think everyone on the staff is pumped about that. Late Q4, it'll be in your hands. So here's hoping.
When Ann said that in ops, I was like, we have to tell people because it's gonna get from Rao.
Yeah. We've just been waiting. Just waiting. Okay, take care, everybody, and have a lovely Tuesday.
Yeah.